September 23rd, 1988. Lauren began walking toward the old cabin. Lightning thundered greatly. She saw the cabin in the distance. A big glow illuminated behind it, each crackle of thunder. She walked through the pouring rain. Each drop smacked her as she stepped through. She walked past the old, rusty swing set. The swings looked like they would fall at any second. Wood planks each looking like they were going to fall right off. She opened the extremely squeaky door. It sounded like a screaming rat. She walked inside. An ocean of memories flooded right towards her. Old stuffed animals hung by a thread. The cabin looked like it was made in the 1800s, which it probably was. She wasn't focused on the other objects. She just the staggered piano in the middle of the room. It was the only clean object. She walked up to it, not even remembering how to play the piano. She sat down on the seat, beginning to play a tune she played when she was only 12. Then, she stopped, looking at the wall. A kid's drawing was on the wall. It was a picture of a child. He had a blue raincoat and blue pants. He had a basketball in his hands, and he throws it at the hoop. It was obviously drawn by a 4-year-old. She picked it up, looking at it more closely. She flipped it over and sees sheet music. It was obviously piano music. It was written much neater than the picture in the front. The thunder shook the house in its landing. She faced the piano. It must be for that piano. She walked toward the piano, beginning to play the music. As her fingers echo the paper, she begins putting less energy into it. Then, she realized the piano was playing itself. She heard running footsteps from behind, her heart beating. She turned around to see a child. He wore a blue raincoat, jeans, and snow boots. Lauren realized that it was the exact kid from the piano. "Thank you, Laura. You have brought him back," the child began. Laura was focusing on the kid's features. His face quickly began decaying. "No eyes, Laura. No mouth. No nose. He's back because of you," the kid continued. Lauren began to breathe heavily. "Thank you," the kid finished. His face was decayed, basically a skeleton's skin. Then, a loud growl was heard from within its throat. He began running towards Lauren, the piano still playing itself. She ran towards the door in an instant panic, but the door slammed itself. The creature almost grabbed her, jaw extended, distorted. Lauren rushed past it, throwing a lamp at them. She jumped out of the crashed window and ran through the darkening rain. She could still hear the distorted screaming behind her. The piano music began to fade away. The lightning was thundering. She ran for the hills. She thought that was her safe spot. Her legs became weak. She continued running until a force pushed her off the steep hill. She violently rolled down the hill, feeling the sticks push into her. She hit the ground with a loud thump, feeling the pressure on the side of her body. Where she was seemed darker, denser. She could hear a voice, but something was telling her, "You'll make a great addition, Lauren." She could see 3 dark figures standing over her. She was in too much pain to run away, or even scream for that matter. Then, a force began to drag her away as her vision blurred out. Darkness everywhere. He couldn't get enough of it. He continued running through the rusted hallways, feeling a warmth on the back of him. He fell on the ground, skin hitting the concrete, long arms reached behind him, black as the night sky. Then, he saw the moon. He ran for it, jumping out of the cellar and locking the cellar door. Joanne's imagination really got to him. He tightened the lock, making sure that what was inside stayed inside. He ran into the house, where his friends were. That was the only place that he thought safe. He looked around, darkness approaching quickly. Clouds moved faster than they normally would. When he opened the door, he saw his friends there, playing a game of Sorry. They all turned to him. This makes Joanne nervous. What happened to you? You look like a wreck, Mick said. Joanne just sat there. staring at their unfinished game. "Don't tell anyone but," Joanne began, until they all hear an unsettling sound. A large slamming sound echoed through the house. "Probably just Dad freaking out again," Elena notes. "Come on, Joanne, play with us," Amelia said. Joanne looked around, nervously. He sees flashes of the Faceless in his mind. Ignoring it this time, he sat down with the gang. He watched as they take turns moving pieces and sawing each other. Joanne looked outside, seeing the tall, branched creature staring at him from a mile away. Rain dripped down on it. It tilted its faceless head. "Joanne!" Julian shouted. "What are you doing?" Sorry, I'm just distracted," Joanne said. He looked back outside, noticing that the creature was gone. After some time playing, another group member, Riley, mentioned something that Joanne never wanted to hear. "Remember when we were little and used to play in the cellar? You know, hide and seek?" Riley asked. Everyone raises their hands in excitement. "Oh yes, how nostalgic. This is how to lock into your childhood," Maylee said. "I'm so excited. Let's go already," Elena said. As everyone ran out, Joanne struggled to stand up. He couldn't see the Faceless, but he could feel the creature's excitement, its hunger. He walked outside with the gang. Before long, he could already realize how scared he was. Counting inside of the cellar where all of the nightmares started. He counted to 10, then turned around, already filled with horror. The water dripped from the top of the cellar. Darkness filled it. The walls looked like they'd been torn apart, then put back on. Planks hung down from the ceiling. This is where it all started. Joanne ran around the cellar, hoping for their safety. It won't pull them, Joanne looked in certain hiding places. He could feel the rain thumping from above. Then, he looked inside of the crate, where his new toy train was delivered. When he was only 7, he saw a person under a blanket inside of the crate. He slowly pulled the blanket off of the person. This is a good hiding spot. Too bad he found them already. He threw the blanket off, then sees a skinny, rotting child. It looked up. With his bottomless eyes, 2 dots can be found inside of them. Joanne jumped back in fear, bumping his head on a metal pipe, feeling the pain on his back of his head. His vision went blurry. Joanne looked above the crate as he saw darkness rising. The tall Faceless rose up, not the child. It looked up at him with its white, bald head. Black tentacles extended from the creature's back. It wore a black, tuxedo-like suit. It had a red tie, black pants with black shoes. Its hard skin was white. It looked at him, even though it had no eyes or face at all. His face was a blank canvas of weirdly formed skin. He made movements with his hands like a mime. Its movements were very choppy. It pointed at Joanne, and the fingers stayed for a long second. Then, it raised its other hand, making a reeling motion. It began to reach for him, but the footsteps were heard from the distance. The tall, faceless creature retreated from the inside of the box. "Joanne, we are trapped in here," Julian said. They all ran towards the exit. "The door is wide open." This door was just open," Millie said. They walked out of the cellar, and it was pitch black outside. They were in a new, different place. It was forest as far as the eye could see. "Where are we?" Amelia asked. Suspiciously, nobody answered. Everybody was just focusing on what's going on in the distance. Lightning thundered louder there. "Guys, I need to tell you something," Joanne began. But then, they heard rustling from the distance. A bush was moving around. Joanne, in great fear, slowly moved toward the bush, not wanting to alert what was ever inside the bush. Joanne reached out, trying to touch the bush. Nothing happened. He reached inside the bush, wanting to know if anything was inside. Nothing came out. Then, he heard Max screaming from behind him. He turned around to see a creature grabbing onto Mac. It wore a blue raincoat. Its gloves were blood red, speckles of blood on his jacket and pants. It wore rainbow boots and jeans. His face looked decayed. Its eyes were darkness. He looked at the group angrily, each jaw extended inhumanly. Clenching onto Mac's throat, he threw Mac on the ground, making him cough. The creature ran away. He ran into the darkness of the night. Everyone was panting, speechless of what just happened. They could hear the creature no more. Then, Joanne sees something in his mind. This time, it wasn't the faceless. It was his victims, his minions, his proxies. He realized what they've dragged him into. Duran's mind is told to go somewhere. Everyone begins screaming. Duran looks at them. Nothing was happening. Then, he notices the trail of blood from where Miley used to be. They all chase the trail of blood. They finish following it, and they see a figure on the tree. Duran focused on it. It was a body, pinned to the tree. It was covered head to toe in black muck. Darkness was dripping from it. Duran began climbing the tree, and he knew it might be Miley. He wiped the black muck off his face. Riley was frantically asking if it was Miley. He wiped Miley. Then, he was glad to hear it was just some old guy. It was still sad, though. The old man had a flashlight. Riley was the best with keeping track of flashlights, so Duran tossed it to Riley. "Thank you," Riley yelled. Duran climbed down. Riley started pressing buttons. It wasn't a normal flashlight. Riley pressed a button in the top, and it made the light go smaller. More energy going toward the large area. Riley had fun with this new mechanic. He started randomly flashing in the darkness until he noticed the blue hooded creature again. He flashed the light in its eyes, and the creature hated it. It started blocking the light with its hands. It then ran back into the darkness in a panic. The group ran away. They continued running, hearing crackling noises in the distance. They could see the half-dead person in the blue raincoat running in the distance, half hidden by the darkness. Then, Riley noticed something. "Hey guys, there's a school building in the distance. We can hold up there," Riley said. Half panting while running, the kids continued running. Then, the school building door opened by itself. Darkness retreats from the school as they run in. Then, they were almost there, just a little farther. Riley got his flashlight ready as they run into the school. They could already see it's not occupied. They continue sprinting until they all run inside one by one. Riley was the last person in the line, but he heard noises that made him stop running, even when he isn't knowing of it. "Riley, what are you doing?" Julian yelled. Riley seemed surprised at the noises he could hear get louder. He was aware that only a few steps away was safety, but something wasn't letting him towards it. He felt darkness touching him. He turned around. All he saw was a fog of darkness. He could faintly hear the kids screaming for him to come inside. Then, he saw a white, blank canvas of a face exit the darkness. The kids saw the flashlight fly out of the darkness cloud and fly into the school building. Mac tried to run out to save Riley, but the door violently slammed in his face. It forced through Mac back to the group. They were in the school, not feeling as safe as they originally thought about the school. They walked in the hallways. Just like everything else in the world, spiderwebs covered the walls, classroom doors hung open. No sign of any death, though. Max seemed the most scared. He got nervous the more he walked down. Then, Max saw a balloon in one of the classrooms. Mac ran towards it, and he saw that there were different colored balloons all over the room. He continued looking until what he saw scared him half to death. The bright baby blue banner read, "Happy birthday, Mackie." Mac almost fell over. The banner wasn't the worst of it. He saw a little table with a piece of cake on it. He read the invitation in the chair. Charlie, Mac thought. That's what the invitation said. He could remember what happened back in the birthday party when he was 10. Mackie sat there, waiting for a piece of cake. 9-year-old Charlie, Mac's brother, was enjoying his piece of cake. Mac was annoyed with Charlie at the time. Mac could remember wanting to leave Charlie at the time. Charlie munches on the cake, and Mac, the birthday boy, hasn't even had his piece of cake yet. Mac was angry, wanting to throw a tantrum. He wanted to punish Charlie for ruining his party, ruining his big day, being the funniest. Then, he looked at a hand-drawn picture on the wall. "Do it," it read. There was a stick figure on it, without a face. Mac knew what he had to do. He jumped out of his seat and started talking to Charlie. "Hey, little buddy, do you want to stop stuffing your face for a second and come and play with me?" he asked. "Of course," Charlie said. "Alright, let's go play in the rain," Mac said. Mac watched Charlie put on his rain boots, and he quickly slipped on his bright blue raincoat. "Alright, Mac, let's go out and play," Charlie said. Charlie ran out of the house and stepped around in the rain puddles. Then, Mac slammed the door shut. "No, let me back in," Charlie screamed. Mac just walks back inside and enjoys the slice of cake. He ate on it. Charlie's screams could be heard in the distance. Mac ignored it. "Mackie, go get your brother," Mac's mother said from the other room. "It's fine." Mac had his fun. He walked to the door and opened it. Charlie wasn't there. He must have had gone inside. Mac noticed black muck in the puddle water. Mac locks the door. Mac popped back into reality. They were still in the school. They left the party room and continued their journey down the hallway. Then they see an open room and continued their journey down the hallway. Then they saw an open window. Stepping noises could be heard from the outside. So Amelia decided to shut the window. Amelia heard banging noises coming from the locker. She walked up to the locker and tried to do the combination. It doesn't work. She tore it open because it has been rusted away. Something was at the bottom of the locker. She bended down to pick it up. She picked up a key and placed it in her pocket. Then they all walked into this weird black room. Goo dripped from the ceiling. They all continued looking around. "Hey guys, look at this," Max said. He ran toward his piece of paper wrapped in black muck. He grabbed it and began reading it. What it said made his stomach turn into a knot. "You left me, Mackie," the note said in scribbled handwriting. Then he looks behind the note. "Charlie," it read in the back. "Charlie's here," Max said. Everybody, confused, watched Mac run out of the room. They all chased after him. Mac entered a hallway and stopped, almost slipping at the impact. Everybody stopped behind him. In front of them was the faceless creature. All they could see was its pure white head, faceless. It stared right at them. Mac's expression was more angry than scared. "Where's my brother?" Mac screamed at the creature. It continued staring at them. The darkness covering it began leaving. More blue than black was emerging from the darkness. Mac stared at the creature, then the darkness was gone. All they could see was Charlie. Charlie was standing in front of the creature, looking like he was wanting to attack. Charlie stood there. The creature's white, bony hand was on Charlie's shoulder. Mac felt tears forming in his eyes. He began walking towards them. "Charlie, I'm sorry this happened to you," Mac began. Charlie, in his blue raincoat, face half decayed, gave no response. "I'm sorry for what happened. You know I love you, right?" Mac began. His tears grew larger. Then the faceless creature's hand let go of Charlie. Charlie ran right towards Mac, jaw extended. His angry scream was high-pitched and gargled, but still childish. He ran right towards Mac. Eyes broke. The group ran away, but Mac stayed there. "I'm your brother, Charlie," Mac said. Charlie pounces on Mac. Darkness quickly approaching. The group ran away, watching as Charlie wailed his arms at Mac violently, until they both get covered in darkness, muffling Mac's screams. They continued running through the school, hearing loud footsteps behind them. Charlie ran out of the darkness, chasing after them, covered in Mac's blood. Darkness raced behind Charlie. He was still giving this high-pitched scream. Van grabbed the flashlight out of his pocket, struggling to position it, because they were running at the same time. His pocket struggling to position it, because they were running at the same time. He pointed at Charlie's eyes, and Charlie's stopped, blocking the light. Darkness covered Charlie, and they all ran out of the school, closing the main doors and covered Charlie. Closing the main doors, and the darkness stuck inside the school. They all pant. Glad that's over. Not talking, they walk forward. Then, Duane started speaking, breaking the silence. "So far, we've lost Miley, Riley, and now Mac. It's been, 30 minutes? Duane asked. "No, it's just us. Now it's just us. Amelia, Julian, Joanne, Alina, and Gus," Julian says. They walked forward. The sun was getting ready to rise. Finally, daytime. "What should we call that creature?" Duane asked. "How about the Faceless?" Julian asked. "This whole time, when I saw that creature, I thought of it as the Slender Man," Amelia said. They all agreed on the name, Slender Man. "Perfect. What should we call those people that work for it, like Charlie?" Julian asked. "How about his proxies?" Julian said. They all agreed to that too. They walked forward. Then the grass began to rise. It burst open, and darkness rises from the ground. The tall, faceless creature, or the Slender Man, rose from the ground. Black, long tentacles reached from its back. He looked straight at the kids, giving an angry expression, even though he has no face. They all ran the opposite direction, seeing the entrance to something. There was a lock on the handle. Amelia grabbed the key she picked up and unlocked the door with it. They open it and rush in. Amelia closed and locked the door, nervously. Amelia grabbed the flashlight and shines in the pitch-black room. It's a sewer. They had to make it through. Shaking, Joanne looked at the group. Everyone nods, ready for what's ahead.